Have you ever wondered why the most terrifying monsters of the past seem so similar to us, or to those we encounter every day? The Middle Ages were not an era of fantasy. They were an era of raw, unrefined biology that people in their ignorance called magic. Forget the tales of knights in shining armor and wise wizards. The true knowledge of that time was kept not in fairy tales, but in the reports of inquisitors, the journals of mad alchemists, and the autopsy records of creatures that should not have existed. Today, we will not read legends, we will study pathologies. We will look beneath the scales of the Basilisk, measure the frequency of the Mandrake scream, and dismantle the mechanisms that drove unicorns to seek silence. Prepare yourselves. We are opening the portal to the rational bestiary. There are no miracles here, only physics, chemistry, and survival in their most sophisticated forms. In folklore, the basilisk is a nonsensical hybrid of a rooster and a snake born of sin. But if we strip away the symbolism, we find the most terrifying chimeric organism in history. This creature was not born of nature. It was engineered during a time when alchemy did not fear to overstep the laws of God. The anatomy of radiation. The most frightening trait of the basilisk is its gaze. Legends say it turns one to stone or kills instantly. The reality is more clinical. Look closely at its eye sockets. The retina of a basilisk's eye does not absorb light, it generates it. Deep within the skull, behind the eyeballs, lie modified glands filled with a fluorescent compound. In moments of aggression, these glands activate, projecting a concentrated beam of hard shortwave radiation through the lens. When you meet its gaze, you do not turn to stone. Your biological shell is subjected to an instantaneous radiation strike of colossal power. The photon stream burns the retina and paralyzes the central nervous system, and the victim freezes, unable to move a finger, while their internal tissues begin to break down at a molecular level. What witnesses mistook for petrification was merely cadaveric spasm and immediate muscular paralysis under the influence of ionization. Crest and scales observe its head. That rooster crest is not just skin, it is a complex phased array antenna. It is laced with a network of capillaries that catch the electromagnetic echoes of the environment. A basilisk hears the electrical impulses of your brain before you even round the corner. Its scales have a specific leaden sheen. Nature endowed it with protection against its own radiation, turning its body into a living sarcophagus. The mirror paradox. Why is a mirror fatal to it? Alchemists called it the retribution of pride, but it is pure physics, the phenomenon of wave interference. When the beam emitted by the basilisk meets its reflection, the waves overlap. A standing wave is created, amplifying the energy many times over. This energy returns into the skull, causing an instant thermal explosion of the brain. The basilisk does not die of fear upon seeing itself. It becomes a victim of its own physical law, burning from the inside in a blinding flash of resonance. The Mandrake was for centuries considered a half-human, half-plant entity, capable of granting fertility or cursing a lineage. But the truth is that the Mandrake is the most aggressive and perfect parasitoid plant on our planet. Its origin is linked not to magic, but to a unique form of necrobiology, root engineering. Why does the root take the form of a human figure? The answer lies in its feeding strategy. Mandrake seeds have a specific scent for protein decay. They germinate best where the soil is saturated with the break-down products of nervous tissue, beneath gallows or on abandoned battlefields. The mandrake's thin, fibrous tendrils possess a unique property. They seek out the remnants of the spinal cord and nerve ganglia in the ground. The plant literally weaves itself around the skeleton, using the human spine and skull as a casting mold. The root you pull from the earth is not just a plant, it is a biological cast of the nervous system of the human whose flesh the mandrake consumed to grow. The acoustic defense mechanism. The most famous myth is the mandrake's deadly scream upon being uprooted. In reality, it is the result of a complex interaction with mycelium. The mandrake exists in symbiosis with underground fungi that create thousands of microscopic vacuum cavities beneath the soil. When the root is abruptly jerked from its socket, it triggers a cascading collapse of these cavities. An infrasound strike occurs. Humans do not hear this sound with their ears. The entire body perceives it. A frequency of 7 to 8 hertz coincides with the brain's own rhythms. A harvester suddenly feels inexplicable terror, nausea, and hallucinations, and their internal organs begin to vibrate in time with the plant's scream. Those who fell dead died of heart failure caused by resonance. Those who survived lost their minds forever, as the infrasound literally ground their neural connections into dust. This is no curse of a god. It is an ideal security system designed by flora to protect its territory. At first glance, the Bonacon seems like an absurd bull with horns curved inward. Chronicles described it as a cowardly animal whose only defense is caustic dung. But modern toxicology sees in the Bonacon the pinnacle of symbiotic engineering. This creature is a walking chemical reactor. Methane synthesis. Within its hypertrophied complex stomach live unique colonies of anaerobic bacteria. They don't just help digest grass, they process it into a concentrated mixture of methane, phosphine, and hydrogen sulfide. The Bonacon's horns are curved inward for a reason. They serve as valves to vent excess gas pressure so the animal's skull doesn't rupture from within. The flame trail attack. When the Bonacon feels threatened, it doesn't charge. It turns around and, under immense pressure, ejects a mixture of gas and liquid flammable secretion from its gut. But that's only half the story. At the moment of ejection, the Bonacon strikes its hooves against stones. The spark struck from the flinty rock is enough to turn the gas cloud into a directed stream of flame. The temperature of this dung reaches 1,000 degrees. It doesn't just burn, it sticks to the skin like medieval Greek fire or modern napalm. The pursuer doesn't just end up soiled, they find themselves in the epicenter of a chemical fire that cannot be extinguished with water. The Bonacon doesn't run in fear. It incinerates 3 acres behind it, leaving only ash and the smell of sulfur. Ancient sailors trembled at the mention of the Cetus, a colossal serpent whose body could encircle an island. But in the rational bestiary, the Cetus is classified not as an animal, but as a siphonophore, a giant floating colony of hydrozoan organisms. It is not one beast, it is millions of individuals fused into a single superorganism. Anatomy of the colony. The Cetus's body consists of specialized individuals called zooids. Some are responsible for movement, rhythmically pushing water, others for feeding, others for defense. Together they form a flexible, serpent-like body up to 150 meters long. A shared digestive canal and a network of nerve fibers run through the center of this living chain, transmitting signals from head to tail at the speed of an electric discharge. The Cetus has no skeleton. Its rigidity is maintained by hydrostatic pressure. This is why when washed ashore, the monster literally dissolves before one's eyes, turning into tons of shapeless slime. The bonds between individuals break without the support of the aquatic environment. Attack mechanics. The legendary attacks of the Cetus on ships are not a display of predatory intelligence, but a tragic error of biomechanics. The colony possesses a powerful magnetic sense. Metal rivets and weights in the holds of galleys create disturbances that the Cetus perceives as a signal to close in. When the colony entangles a vessel, thousands of stinging cells, nematocysts, come into play. They fire microscopic harpoons with neurotoxins that paralyze the crew in seconds through fumes and direct contact. And that roar heard by survivors? It is the resonance of hundreds of air sacs within the colony. As depth changes, air is pumped between them, creating a haunting, moaning sound that in the vacuum of the ocean sounds like the scream of the devil itself. The Cetus is not a hunter, it is a living, drifting catastrophe. The Leucrota is the most macabre perversion of nature documented in the menageries of antiquity. A hybrid of a lion, hyena, and badger possessing a bony plate instead of teeth, and the ability to mimic human speech. This creature is living proof that evolution can make mistakes. The jaw anomaly. Instead of a standard set of incisors and canines, the Leucrota's mouth is a solid bony ridge fused with the jaw. This is the result of a genetic glitch known as hypercalcification. This plate knows no wear. It sharpens itself with every movement, turning the beast's jaws into industrial shears, capable of snapping a bull's femur in one go. The mimicry phenomenon. But what makes the Leucrota truly sinister is its voice. It doesn't just imitate sounds like a parrot, its larynx structure allows it to resonate at frequencies identical to a human timbre. However, its brain is incapable of learning. Research shows that the Leucrota possesses pathological echolalia. It memorizes sounds it hears during moments of extreme emotional distress from its victims or trainers. When a Leucrota speaks in the night forest, it is not consciously luring you. It is simply replaying recorded audio trash in its brain. Hearing a predator with a bloodied maw say in a gentle female voice, "It's late, go home," is a psychological ordeal that the ancients called an encounter with a demon. It is a cognitive trap. Your instinct tells you to run, but your social brain makes you freeze, trying to recognize the human. In those seconds of confusion, the Leucrota strikes. We are used to seeing the unicorn as a symbol of purity and grace, but in the archive, this creature is described as a massive ungulate possessing a unique sensory organ, the cephalic horn. The unicorn is a living compass whose life is governed by the Earth's magnetic fields. The horn as a receiver. Look closely at the structure of its horn. It is not bone or keratin. It is a dense layer of dentin, laced with microscopic channels filled with ferromagnetic crystals. The horn is a biological antenna. With it, the unicorn feels changes in the ionosphere and the planet's geomagnetic lines with millimeter precision. This allows it to migrate through thick forests and mists without ever losing its way. However, there is a price for this gift. The horn makes the unicorn hypersensitive to electrical storms and the biological background of other creatures. The mystery of virginity. The legend that a unicorn is only caught by a virgin has a strict endocrine basis. The The horn antenna is extremely sensitive to chemical signals, pheromones. The sex hormones, testosterone and estrogen of an adult human, create noise that painfully resonates in the unicorn's horn, causing flashes of rage or panic. A virgin in this context is a person with a neutral, stable hormonal background and low cortisol, stress hormone levels. For the unicorn, such a person is an island of silence in a world full of electromagnetic clatter. It approaches not because it values moral character, but because next to such a person, its antenna stops vibrating with pain. It seeks the silence that only a being with absolute hormonal peace can provide. The Yale. Legends describe it as a goat or antelope with absurd, huge horns capable of rotating in any direction independently. At first glance, it seems like a clumsy animal. On a Samamdella, the Yale is the pinnacle of evolutionary camouflage. A living seismo-acoustic station that sees danger not with eyes but with bones. Radar horns. Its horns are not weapons. They are ultra-sensitive seismo-acoustic antennas. Each horn consists of dozens of hollow bone chambers connected by elastic cartilaginous ligaments. Unique musculature allows the Yale to rotate each horn 360 degrees independently of the other. With them, the Yale scans not the air, but the soil and infrasonic vibrations. It catches the vibration of a predator's steps miles before they appear on the horizon. It hears changes in wind pressure, senses earthquakes, and even picks up infrasonic signals exchanged by predators over vast distances. To the Yale, the world is a symphony of invisible waves and vibrations. Sensory invisibility. When a Yale detects a threat, it doesn't run headlong, it freezes. Но это не просто замирание. Its horns take on a specific configuration, they point forward, forming a parabolic resonator. In this position, the horns begin to vibrate at an ultrasonic frequency that effectively absorbs and distorts any sound waves around the Yale. To a predator using echolocation like bats or large owls, the Yale simply vanishes from the sensory field. It becomes invisible to sound, and for predators relying on sight, its stillness and grayish fur make it indistinguishable from a bush or a stone. The Yale does not attack, it becomes part of the landscape, merging with it down to the molecular level until the danger passes. Its strange horns are not a blunder of nature, but a perfect tool for survival in a world full of hungry eyes and sharp claws. The portal to the laboratory of the past is slowly closing. We have seen the world without embellishment, a world where magic was only a disguise for the harsh laws of survival. The Basilisk, the Mandrake, the Bonacon, the Cetus, the Leucrota, the Unicorn, and the Yale. They were not good or evil, they were functional. Each of their miracles was merely an evolutionary adaptation, a reaction to the environment, a drive to survive. Now that you know the truth, the legends will never be the same. But remember, even when we explain a wonder, it does not cease to be wonderful. Biology is the most complex magic in existence. The realization of how nature achieves its goals is often far more impressive than any fiction. Our journey through the archives is complete, and you may close your eyes and let this new knowledge soothe your mind. Let the deep understanding of the laws of nature lull your anxieties, and let the rhythmic pulse of your own instincts become the harmony of your sleep. Sleep soundly, knowing that behind every rustle in the night stands not a curse, but merely someone's instinct. Subscribe to our channel, for there are many more pages yet for us to decode. Good night, and may your logic guard your sleep for now.